We're going to try something new on the channel today. I'm sure some of you have seen the NHL over or under videos that I've made in the past. For those of you who haven't, I'll give a quick explanation on what it is. Basically, before an NHL season starts, I ask you guys to give me player names and point totals, and I pick out a bunch of your comments and try and predict in a video if the player will get over or under the given point total that season. This video is the exact same concept, but instead of point totals, I asked you guys to give me cap hits for upcoming free agents, both UFAs and RFAs. I picked out a bunch of your guys' comments, and in this video, I'm going to try and predict if these free agents' next cap hit will come in over or under the number left by you guys in the comments. If you guys enjoy these interactive videos and you want to see more in the future, then be sure to drop a like. That's the best way to let me know that you enjoyed, and it does help out the videos a ton. And if this is your first time coming across the channel and you want NHL content just like this all year round, hit that subscribe button. And with that all being said, let's go ahead and kick this video off with the first comment from Berserk, who says Jeremy Swayman RFA 6.5 mil after going to arbitration last year and requesting about 4.8 mil, only getting 3.475. He has definitely earned a decent pay increase. My personal guess would be over, and also really appreciate the kind words, and I'm glad you enjoy the videos. I think I'm with you on this one. I'm also going to take the over, probably not by a whole lot. My guess would be his next cap hit comes in at around the $7 million range. Swayman is 25 years old now, and the sample size of him being great at the NHL level isn't small anymore. He has established himself as one of the best and most consistent goaltenders in the entire NHL. Now's the time for Boston to get Swayman locked up to a long-term contract, and I think we're going to see that happen this offseason, and my guess is that the cap hit comes in at over 6.5 mil. The next comment we have comes from Quintum, who says Lucas Raymond 8.75 mil. I don't know if he tries to cash in big after being arguably a top 10 player in the league for the final stretch, but man, am I excited to see more of him. You and me both very excited to see a lot more of Lucas Raymond in the future. He took a pretty big leap this past season. The last couple of months of the season, he stepped up in a big way, was the Red Wings' best player, really led the charge, for that late season playoff push that ultimately came up short. And with how well Raymond played down the stretch, you have to imagine he probably earned himself quite a bit more money on his next contract. That being said, I am going to take the under on this. One contract that I would use as a comparable for what maybe Raymond's next contract could look like is Tim Stützle's. After his entry-level deal was up, Stützle signed an 8-year, $66.8 million contract extension with the Senators, so an annual cap hit of 8.35 mil. I think maybe that's going to be right around where Raymond's number comes in at. Steve Yzerman is also a very tough negotiator. He's a penny pincher, and I can't see him giving Lucas Raymond a higher cap hit than Dylan Larkin, who makes 8.7 mil. So I'm going to take the under on Lucas Raymond at 8.75 mil. Probably not by a whole lot. If I had to guess what his next cap hit's going to come in at, if it's on a long-term deal, which I'm hoping it is, I don't think it makes sense to sign Lucas Raymond to a bridge deal. My guess would be 8 years, maybe 8 mil per season flat. Moving on now to the next comment. This one comes from Awesome Zach, the first UFA here. Sam Reinhart, 8 years, 11.5 mil, over under both years and salary. When it comes to the years, can't go over 8, so I think you're spot on there. I do think whatever deal he signs, it's going to end up being an 8-year deal, which means I am expecting him to re-sign with the Florida Panthers because they are the only team that can give him that 8th year. Sam Reinhart has went on record saying that he wants to remain a Florida Panther. He wants to get an extension done, and I mean, why wouldn't he? He's playing the best hockey of his career right now. He's gone to back-to-back Stanley Cup finals, and then you got the off-ice perks as well. Warm weather, no state income tax. I mean, why would Sam Reinhart want to leave Florida? When it comes to the $11.5 million cap hit, though, I'm definitely going to take the under on that. If Reinhart were to, hit the open market and there was a bidding war, I could definitely see him making upwards of 11 mil a season if he left Florida. But like I said, I don't think that's going to happen. I'm expecting him to re-sign with Florida, and given the fact that Florida can give him that 8th year, it'll probably bring his cap hit down. And again, the no state income tax plays a factor here. Sam Reinhart can afford to take a couple mil less to stay with the Florida Panthers and still bring home probably around the same amount of money as if he signed for a couple million more in a different market like Toronto, for an example. So final answer, I think you're spot on with the years, and I'm taking under 11.5 mil. I think his next cap hit is going to come in around the same as Tkachuk and Barkov's, in that $9.5 to $10 million range. The next comment we have comes from a hockey fan at 1083, who says Dakota Joshua 4.125 mil. In my opinion, one of the most underrated players in the league. With how he performed throughout this past season, I could see a world where he's worth this much. This is a tough one. I think I might take the under, but probably not by that much. I could definitely see a team giving him in the range of 3.5 to 4 mil per season. He's coming off of a fantastic year with the Canucks, scored above a 20 goal pace while getting little to no time on the power play. He's physical, he's a great forechecker, plays a strong two-way game, and was really just the ideal bottom six forward for the Canucks this past season. If a team is going to give him, somewhere in that $4 million range, I'm expecting it to be a shorter term deal, maybe 2-3 years max, and that's due to the fact that it is still a pretty small sample size. This past season was only Dakota Joshua's second full season in the NHL. He's a late bloomer. He also shot over 21% this past season, so I think it's fair to assume his goal scoring may come back down to earth a little bit. Moving on now to the next comment. This one comes from Mikey Schwartz, who says, Jake Guentzel, $8 million for 6 years. I'm going to take the over on this one. My guess is Guentzel signs for somewhere in the range of 8.5 to 9 mil. It has been reported recently that Guentzel is actually expected to test free agency, and if Sam Reinhart re-ups with the Florida Panthers, which I'm expecting him to, that will make Jake Guentzel the biggest name on the free agent market this summer. He's coming off of yet another 30-goal season where he finished with 77 points split between the Penguins and Hurricanes. He was an absolute monster down the stretch for the Hurricanes and looked pretty good for them in the playoffs as well. Jake Guentzel has set himself up beautifully to get a massive contract this offseason. Somebody's going to overpay for him. A team always overpays for the biggest name on the market, and I don't expect that to change this summer, so I'm definitely taking the over on 8 mil. The next comment we have comes from Anya Wilt, who says, Sean Walker, 4.75 mil. I'm definitely taking the over on this one as well. Right shot defensemen tend to do pretty well for themselves in free agency. Sean Walker is coming off of the best season of his career, split between the Philadelphia Flyers and the Colorado Avalanche. He's a fantastic skater, really good puck transporter, great on the penalty kill. If a team was willing to give up a first-round draft pick for Sean Walker at the trade deadline, I would almost bet my life on the fact that there's going to be a team willing to give him 5 mil per season in free agency. Moving along now, the next comment comes from Hayden Hallett 95, who says, Ilya Samsonov, $3 million. There are some teams in desperate need of a goalie, and based on his peak performances and age, I could see him getting around 3 mil. I'm going to take the under on this one. I feel like wherever Samsonov ends up signing, whether it's in Toronto again or somewhere else, it's going to be on a 1-year prove-it deal. Like you said, due to his age and his peak performances, there's going to be a team out there willing to give him a shot. I mean, this is a guy who in his first season with the Maple Leafs was fantastic. One of the, I would say upper echelon starters in the league. He had a .919 save percentage, 27-10-5 record. And then this past season, he just wasn't able to replicate that same success. Really inconsistent and streaky. You never knew what you were going to get from game to game. So based off of his performance this past season, I think my prediction for his next contract would have to be 1 year, maybe 2 mil, 2.5 max. The next comment we have comes from Hugh Barkhurst, who says Brandon Montour, $7 million. I'm definitely taking the over on this. I said earlier in the video that right shot defensemen tend to do pretty well for themselves in free agency. Well, not only is Brandon Montour, if he does hit the open market, going to be the best right shot defenseman available, he's probably going to be the best defenseman available in general. Brandon Montour is a top pairing offensive defenseman, a legit power play quarterback. He put up career highs across the board with the Panthers in 2022-23, 16 goals and 73 points in 80 games. His numbers came back down to earth a little bit this season with 33 points in 66 games, so right there at a half point per game. But it should be mentioned that Brandon Montour did miss training camp, preseason, and the first month and a half or so of the season due to shoulder surgery. Like Sam Reinhart, Brandon Montour has also been on record to say that he wants to remain in Florida. That's where he wants to be long term, but even if he does extend in Florida, I still think the cap hit is going to come in north of 7 mil, maybe in the range of 7.5. And if he does end up hitting the open market and leaves Florida and there's a bidding war for him, I could see him making north of 8 mil per season. Moving along now to the next comment. This one comes from Noah Clark, who says Jonathan Marchessault over under 6.5 mil. I feel like it has to be over, right? Jonathan Marchessault is coming off of a fantastic season with the Golden Knights, a career high 42 goals in 82 games. It was only a year ago he was leading them to their first Stanley Cup in franchise history, winning the Conn Smythe Trophy as playoffs MVP. I definitely think Marchessault has earned himself a raise over his previous cap hit of 5 mil per season. He is 33 years old, so in terms of term, I don't think it'll be all that long of a deal. Maybe something similar to the deal Joe Pavelski first signed when he went to Dallas, 3 years, 7 mil, something like that. That's my guess. The question is it going to be the Golden Knights or another team signing Marchessault to his next contract? Marchessault is one of those guys who's been there from the start. He's been one of the faces faces of the Golden Knights franchise ever since they came into the league. He's a fan favorite. You have to imagine it would be very difficult for Vegas to let him walk, but given their cap situation, it's also going to be very difficult for them to re-sign him. Continuing on now, the next comment comes from Droop, who says over under DeBrusk 5.5 mil per. I think I'm going to go with the over on this one as well, but slightly over, maybe 5.7, maybe 6, but I think it's probably going to be somewhere in between 5.5 and 6. To me, Jake DeBrusk is one of the more intriguing names that's set to hit the open market this offseason. He's only 27 years old, so he's a little bit younger than some of the other high-profile free agents. Had really good underlying numbers this past season, solid two-way impacts. He can play on both special teams. He's had 3 25-plus goal seasons in his career so far. As a Red Wings fan, I'm kind of hoping Steve Yzerman has a quiet free agency this year because he sort of went crazy the last 2 years, and some of those contracts he signed are not looking good so far. But if he is going to make a big splash, Jake DeBrusk would probably be towards the top of my list of wants. The next comment we have comes from Default Nick, who says Tyler Bertuzzi 4.25 mil. I'm going to take the over here too. Tyler Bertuzzi's previous cap it was 5.5 mil, but only on a 1-year deal, and I think this time around he probably gets a longer term deal in the range of 3 to 4 years, but at a lesser cap it than 5.5 mil. My guess is somewhere in the range of 4.5 to 5, and I think it's going to end up being with the Maple Leafs as well. It's been reported that there is mutual interest there to bring Tyler Bertuzzi back, and I think that's a good decision. I like the fit of Bertuzzi in Toronto. The next comment we have comes from Landon, who says Nikita Zadorov 5.75 mil for 6 years, and this wasn't the only comment on the post. There was a bunch with Nikita Zadorov's name and a pretty high cap hit. Now listen, I get he probably did earn himself a couple more dollars on his next contract with his performance in the playoffs for Vancouver, but Zadorov is a guy who throughout the majority of his career has played third pairing minutes. He is a third pairing shutdown defenseman, physical, has a heavy shot, can score some goals, and can definitely step into the top 4 in a pinch. A very useful defenseman, 100%, but he is not the kind of player that you give, a 6-year deal to for a cap hit north of 5.5 mil. I am absolutely smashing the under on this. If Zadorov does end up signing a deal for more than 5.75 million per season, I will come on here and live stream myself sawing off one of my fingers with a butter knife. That's how confident I am. The next comment we have comes from Scully Plays, who says Hronek 4 years at 7.4 million, and thank you for the kind words. I'm glad you enjoy the videos. I think I'm also going to take the under on this one. I'm not as confident as the last one though. I'm probably not going to saw off any fingers if I'm wrong here. It was reported that the Vancouver Canucks do not want to pay Filip Hronek anywhere close to what Quinn Hughes is currently making. 7.85 mil for the next 3 years is Quinn Hughes' current contract. So it sounds like Vancouver has an internal cap set when it comes to these Filip Hronek negotiations. It was also reported that they are willing to give him 8 years. It seems like the only real holdup here is the dollar value. My prediction is 8 years, 7 mil flat per season. I could see them maybe going a little bit higher, like 7.2, but I can't see them going over 7.4, so I'm going to take the under here. Moving on now, the next comment comes from Little Boomy 28, who says Patty Kane 3 years, 4 mil per season. I'm going to take the under on the years. I think max we see a team give Patrick Kane is a 2-year deal, and when it comes to the $4 million cap hit, I'm going to take the over. I'll say maybe in the $4.5 to $5 million range. Patrick Kane proved this past season after coming off hip surgery that he can still be a very effective player. Only played, around half of the season with the Red Wings, but still finished 6th on the team in scoring, led the team in game-winning goals. He really helped out the power play, and I think having Patrick Kane around the team really helped out Lucas Raymond and other young players in the Red Wings too. I'm hoping that the team that signs Patrick Kane to his next deal will be the Red Wings, if it is, a reasonable deal, which I expect it to be. I'm not going to get my hopes set too high though, because some of the things Patrick Kane said at the end of the season, it kind of sounded like he was already reflecting on his time in Detroit. No matter what happens though, it was definitely a very memorable 50 games Patrick Kane played in the winged wheel, and I'm very intrigued to see where he goes next. And now finally finishing out the video with the last comment. This one comes from Juice, who says Jonathan Drouin in Colorado 3.25 mil. I'm going to take the under on this one, but just under. I feel like his next deal is going to come in, somewhere in the range of 2 years, maybe 2.5 or 3 mil per season on a 1-year prove-it deal with the Avalanche. Jonathan Drouin showed that he can still be a very effective playmaking top 6 forward, obviously playing next to into one of the absolute best players on planet Earth is going to boost his numbers, but still 1000% I definitely think Drouin did enough to earn himself another contract, and I hope it's with the Avalanche because it seemed like he really enjoyed playing there and I think the fit was really good. So that is going to wrap up today's episode of NHL Over or Under Free Agent Edition. As always, I want to know what you guys are thinking, so be sure to let me know down below in the comments your picks for all of the over or under questions that we talked about in this video. And if you got all this way to the end of the video and you enjoyed yourself, then please remember to leave the video a like. It's the best way to let me know that you enjoyed, and it does help out the videos a ton. And most importantly, if this was your first time checking out the channel and you want NHL content just like this all year round, hit that subscribe button, and I'll talk to you all again soon.